Welcome to season 2, episode 17 of our podcast series, the podcast that inspires and educates through the sharing of real life experiences. With me today is Mohit. Mohit is a co-founder of One Heart Marketing. He's joining us remotely from India, and today he'll be sharing with us why he had to quit schooling to start working to support his family. Hello, Mohit, and welcome to Podcast with
Thank you so
Sheila.
much, Sheila. Thanks for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure for me.
We are delighted to have you. So,
Yeah.
what would your favorite quote be?
So my favorite quote is, I truly believe in the fact that what's meant to happen will happen. And I've always believed in that. And that's how life has shown me the paths as well. So yeah, that's what I believe in.
What was life like growing up for you?
Life was it was pretty normal. I was born and raised in a pretty decent family, living in a very good community. It was all fun, and I was one of those child who was always about being with friends and playing and stuff like that. My mom was very strict with the education aspect of things. She always wanted me to be the topper of the class and topper of the school, and she always taught me in the right direction as well for me be able to do that. I think one of the a couple of things we always had issues with, my dad not being well, he had like some health issues and stuff like that, which always used to make me feel worried about him. And at the same time, the financial situation wasn't the best, to be honest, like all the time. We had this roller coaster stuff going on, all the time. Some days were good, some days were really bad. But yeah, I always had that one thing in my mind that when I would grow old, I want to make sure that I'm able to take care of my family, that we would never have to face any financial issues. I'm able to take care of my parents and that they would never have to work. And that's exactly what inspired me to start doing what I'm doing, because in late 2017, basically, we were hit with our worst financial situation that led to my sister, to actually stop our education, which was a pretty hard call. But to be honest, we had to do that because my parents, they couldn't afford the tuition for our colleges. So I was just finishing my high school. My sister was still in her first year of her masters, and
Oh,
it was hard for both of us. She wanted we somehow could have we had saved some money so that she could continue her second year for masters, but I had to quit it. I decided that I would do it. And then my sister supported me, and then basically we sort of started a lot of things. I was like started to look at on internet on how we can make some money online and support our family. And that was the point when we had to get rid of our house as well, so that we can actually pay off some of our debt. So that was a horrible phase. We never lived in a rented house, and we had to do that because times were such. We didn't know how we're going to pay off the rents every month for where we were living, and at the same time could afford medicines. And as I mentioned, we had a lot of medical complications in our house too, with my father and mother. um, and for food and stuff. And then I started looking at internet, and me and my sister, on how we could make some money and stuff like that. We were able to find some gigs, hopefully make some money. It was on and off, there was no
yeah.
such success. We hardly made like $100 a month, or even sometimes less than that. And that was what we were going through. I was happy at that point that a lot of our family members supported us. We had to take sort of like borrow a lot of money from them just so we could barely survive. And we had this for like almost 2.5 years. And then finally in 2020 March, we came across a guy, and we started working with him. And we actually found a lot of success doing outreach on Instagram and LinkedIn. He made a lot of ROI, and we were like, cool, maybe this is something that we can pursue. Then we started learning in depth about how stuff work with Instagram and LinkedIn. And now 14 months, or maybe like 15 months down the line now, we have worked with more than 30 clients, generated over $500,000 in revenue for all of those clients. And yeah, we have obviously made some decent money. We have been able to pay off all our parents' debt. We are living a decent life right now. Me and my sister are able to take care of our parents and everything. So I should say that things have certainly changed. They're not the same as they were at least a couple of years back. So yeah, it's pretty good, to be honest.
Hold on a minute. Too many questions are coming up in my mind. I want to be able to ask you all of them. One of them is, well, what exactly do you do? Like the business you set up, what exactly do
Yeah.
you do in that business?
Awesome. So basically, we help coaches get more clients from LinkedIn and Instagram. So one of the things that we focus on is basically reaching out to their target audience, connect with them authentically, build relationships. Because as you know, LinkedIn has become too mechanical, and even Instagram, people have
Yeah.
just keep sending copy paste messages, inauthentic, just salesy messages. And I was actually, just watching all of that stuff happening with a bunch of my clients, and me and my sister, we came up with this idea that why not just figure something out that could solve this problem for coaches, maybe connect personally with people that might look more authentic. That's what we started, and that was one of the things that helped us stood out as well compared to our competitors, because our competitors were doing just the copy paste stuff on the other hand, and they were reaching out to 100 people a day. We were just doing 30 to 50 people a day, but we were focusing on quality and the connections of the quality, and we were able to build better relationships and hence better results. And that's exactly what we are doing right now as well, helping our clients connect with their audience authentically, and able to get them clients every single month, able to get them 6 to 7 leads every single week, to make sure that their pipeline is always filled. So that's what we focus on.
Great. So from your story summary, I gathered that now you are in the process of buying a house for your parents from the
Exactly.
business you've been doing. Wow.
Exactly.
That will be very profitable then. It means the business is very profitable. But so in a span of a year, you have like 30 clients, is it? And those clients you've been able to generate $450,000 for them through your
Exactly.
business. That is
Exactly.
really good. That is really, really good. So
Appreciate.
are you thinking of going back to school or not at all at this point?
I mean, to be honest, like I have enrolled in some courses, but again, it's I officially, I and my family have talked about it, but then I decided no, because I have now sort of dedicated my entire time into this. I am working on a few other things too, and I am also in the next 6 months have planned to start my own podcast as well. So yeah, there are some things that I'm wanting to do. I do have like a 5-year plan for me and my sister. So a no to that. But again, I am someone who always likes learning new things. So I've enrolled myself into a bunch of courses. So I make sure that I keep learning every single day, because that's what I believe in. I want to make sure that I'm a better version of myself, at least by 1% every other day. So yeah, that's what I strive to. And so that's why I have enrolled into courses, but schooling, no, for that, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges and successes you have had to encounter through this business?
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, like it was on and off process all the time, even before like One Heart, as I mentioned, we were doing like, paid ad gigs, we were doing like, graphic designing, social media management, website designing, website development. Like there were a lot of things, but nothing was like, yeah, we had the passion to do it, to be honest. We never felt like we want to do it. We were just doing it so we could make some bucks and just, as I mentioned, take care of our family. And then we came across this thing, we understood that this is something that we can build our career on. But again, we always, as I mentioned, on and off thing. We had a good phase between March till I think August, and then September we hit low again. I wasn't the lowest point, but we hit low. We were seeing that when LinkedIn sort of the community guidelines sort of changed, we hit low again. The clients weren't getting like the best of the results, and then we had to figure out strategies, and then we picked up again. Then December we hit low. I think we picked up pretty well again in the month of February 2022, and then we hit low again in the month of May. And once again, from the month of June we have started to pick up once again, and things have been going good. So as I mentioned, like we always have had challenges, especially March 2021, when LinkedIn completely changed it, community guidelines. It made it so hard for me, even for our clients, and to get those 6 to 7 leads that I was promising to my clients. That was getting way too far. We were just getting like 1 to 2 leads. So we always had to come up with new ideas on what are the things that we can do to make sure that we are able to deliver results, consistent results every single week to month. But again, we have been able to figure out ways from all these challenges and work our way out. So yeah, but again, we always want to make sure that it's client first, and we are doing everything that we possibly can to deliver results to them, irrespective of whatever challenges we are facing. And again, I personally had a lot of mental issues and mental challenges as well. There was a lot personally going on in my life, and that once led to downfall to our business as well. But then I understood that I cannot let that happen again, and we have picked up since then. So yeah.
Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I think it was like early April or like mid of April when India hit the worst with its COVID stuff, and it was there till the end of May. I wouldn't say that it was completely because of COVID. I'm that kind of person who likes going out and stuff. So I was like, just being in my room, and it was so hard for me. And again, I've had issues with a lot of friends. I've had issues with a few of my clients, and I felt like maybe there was issue with my family as well. There was arguments, there were sort of fights and things, and they were not comfortable, and I was getting into a headspace where I thought that maybe I do not deserve to be who I am or deserve to live, because there were people criticizing me and raising fingers at me. So it was hard for me to get through, and then I understood that you cannot let these things sort of let your business down, especially when family is on the line and you want to make sure that your business is the one taking care of them. So yeah, I was somehow able to take myself back up. I watched a lot of like healing videos. I started focusing on meditation and things like that. So yeah, that's how I was able to fight it out. But it took me almost 2 months to basically get out of that negative headspace. But in the end, I could able to do that. I'm in a better space now, mentally, physically, in every way, and yeah, it's been good.
You know something, Mohit. When I was reading your story summary, I was really impressed. And at one point, I said, everybody would like to have children like you and your sister, because you've been able to turn the situation around. And the bit that you said you are in the process of buying a house for your mom, your parents, that is so impressive. And
Yeah.
in 2020, that was the year that the whole world was going through a turmoil. And that
Exactly.
was the year that your company picked up.
Yeah, exactly. And you won't believe. So March was the phase when exactly this COVID stuff hit, and March was the time when things changed for us. So sometimes I always say this to even my sister as well. I don't know if this COVID stuff is a blessing or like if it's a bad thing for us, but sometimes I feel like it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody said on this podcast once that there's a silver lining, and there's actually a silver lining, depending on how you look at it, because your business is centered around IT, isn't it? And that was the year that everybody was forced to stay at home. And all that we had for source of entertainment was our phone, our computer, our iPads, and everybody was on Instagram, was on that. So definitely people in that circle, working in that circle, that would be their hit.
Right.
And so if you look at it, one man's meat is another man's poison, kind of. So it didn't work for some people, but it worked for others. But whatever the situation, for me, I believe that is how you look at it and how you view it. Where you find yourself, you have to, what can I do at this time? Because it was just at that time that podcast with Sheila started. So you look at yourself, what can I do? I'm home, but I have access to this. I have access to that. I have access to it. What can I do? Just start it. And like you said, persistence. Be persistent with it. Keep going. You may not see the gains. When I started podcast, I was just sharing my stories out of experiences, out of life experiences. Then one time somebody wrote to me and said, I want to be on your podcast. And I was like, so aside my friends and my family and the family of my friends, is anybody outside my circle listening? And I was surprised to know that someone was listening. So that was when I opened up. So you would never know until you've tried. And seriously, I am impressed with what you and your sister have been able to come up with. It's really, really commendable. So why do you call it One Heart? Why the name One Heart?
Yeah, so we basically believe in connecting people, our clients with their audience heart to heart. As I mentioned, it's not about mechanical, it's about, connecting with them, actually understanding their problems and, putting ourselves in their shoes and trying to understand, okay, where is their business going wrong, or say their life is going wrong, and see it from their perspective and then give them the solutions. So that's where, this One Heart stuff started. One of my clients, he says that, he is serving other coaches so that he can end hell on earth. And then I had, this, thing that, obviously we are actually doing the same technically, because our clients, because I worked with a lot of spiritual coaches personally as well, and they have helped so many people. And it made me feel so happy that because we were the one in the first place who helped them connect with these people. So yeah, I thought, One Heart, it speaks a lot about the work that we are doing. So yeah, that's how it's sort of like we named it as. Yeah.
Great. I was going through your Instagram pages and I saw a post you had just put up that talked about overcoming fear and
Yeah.
anxiety. Can we talk
Yeah.
about that? How to overcome fear and anxiety? I believe there's a lot going on
Absolutely.
now.
Absolutely. Because to be honest, I am a patient of anxiety as well since almost 3 years now. When first time when I was hit with anxiety, depression, and panic attacks, I remember still a night when I was first hit with panic attack. And when you are hit with these things, you feel like maybe you won't see the next morning, because that is how, and that is what basically your body goes through or your mind goes through. And since then, I've always had this anxiety issues happening, good or bad. I've always sort of faced it, and then I have always figured out my ways. I mean, obviously it's about, you can go with the medical, part of it, but then again you can always figure out, your ways on how you can overcome anxiety, fear, depression. And I personally believe in the fact that if you're facing something, then go face it rather than turning your back. I believe that if you feel like this is something that you're afraid of, actually go and face it. So I'm an introvert person. I don't like speaking to people. I don't like going into public or being in groups. And I was not liking that fact. And people were like sort of looking upon me for that one thing. Then I understood that maybe the best way that I can come up with this fear is actually going into groups and like, speaking up. The worst that's going to happen is people laughing at me. But I told myself that I'm comfortable with it. I was going into groups. I was trying to go into public, and I was like trying to speak up and just like share and just be good with them. And that's how I was like able to come up with the fear of this introversion and not being able to express myself. And also with the anxiety thing, there are like two ways to look at it. Like, you can obviously do meditate and stuff. You can do good exercise. That's what I started doing. And I started focusing my mind rather than into the negative aspect of things, rather than focusing on what's going wrong or what's happening bad with my life. I was trying to look at the aspects of, okay, what is good from this bad. That's how I look at. That's what my mom taught me. Even if you think like something is wrong, try to find something good out of it. And as I mentioned, whatever happened, happens for good. That's what you have to believe in. And that's how I started look at things, and it made me feel comfortable. And I'm not going to say that my anxiety has gone completely. It's still there. I know it's going to be there, but I have always, I think almost like 80% of it is something that's been cured, just because I'm meditating, I'm exercising, I've changed my mindset, I've started facing my fears. That's what I always say is, face your fear, and that's how you can kill your fear. That's the best way, and I don't think there's anything better than that. So that's what I started to do.
I think for me, well, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever been anxious. But growing up, I've just been that daring person. And
Yeah.
if you don't do it, I'll do it. I'm that kind of
Yeah.
person. If you don't do it, I'll do it.
Right.
And another
Yeah.
thing I always ask myself is, if that person was able to do it, why can't I?
Yeah. Right. That's a
So
great mindset.
what's different from that person? You
Yeah.
get it? If they were able to
Exactly.
do it, I will be able
Yeah.
to do it. And another thing that also keeps me going is the only thing that could happen is for them to say no. Like when I'm looking for, or when I'm sending a proposal forward or something,
Yeah.
I'll send it anyway. So I say the
Yeah.
only thing they can say is no, and no won't kill me.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
yeah, I have to get a number of no's for me to
Yeah.
get
To
one
actually get
yes.
to yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you just have to keep going. So I don't know if I've ever been anxious, if you ask me. I've never
Mm-hmm.
been, I've just been stressed out of doing a lot of things, but I've never been anxious. I don't know if it's come up sometime and I didn't know that was anxiety, but I don't think I have been, because I speak to myself before I do it. And once I
Right.
have spoken to myself, I've put myself in the positive mood, nothing is going to change it until I have accomplished what I want to get. So I think this is a good thing we've shared. There are a lot of people who are anxious. I ran a class, and sometimes some of the women get anxious, and I thought you don't have to. If
Exactly.
you are anxious, just pause, put everything you're doing, lay it down, take some time
Right.
off, reflect,
Exactly.
heal, build yourself up again, put yourself together, put yourself in the spirit and get onto it. Because once you get anxious, you'll not be able to do whatever you're going to do. You'll not get good results out of whatever you're going to do. I'm glad we shared this. And there was another thing I saw on your post as well. It talked about 6 powerful ways to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
Can we discuss that?
Yeah, so that is something that I really love, to be honest. I always talk about it, to be the best version of yourself. I see a lot of people talking about being the best, but I talk about how you can be that best version of yourself. And I already, said the same thing. I always strive to be a better version of myself, at least by 1% every single day. I want to be a better version tomorrow, and then maybe day after tomorrow, I want to be even a better version of that. And I think it's and the way you actually, everyone talks about it, but the way you would become a better version of yourself is taking one day at a time. You cannot rush something, and set smaller goals for you. Do not set like unrealistic goals. Set small goals, achieve it, and then you can take it to the next level. And then you to always talk about competing with others. I do not think that there's a stuff called competition even exists. The only person that you can compete with is yourself, and the
Oh,
only person that you can beat is yourself and not someone else, because there's always a better person that's out there who is way better than you, and maybe that you cannot beat him or her. But that doesn't mean you can just drag yourself down, that you cannot be the best. So the way you can win yourself and win your life is by becoming a better version. I compare myself where I was, maybe let's say March 2020, and where I am March 2021, two complete different Mohit, to be honest. I'm not just talking about the financial aspect of things, but spiritually, mentally, physically, I am a complete different person now. And I know maybe March 2022, there would be a better Mohit out there for sure. And that's how you should be looking at life, taking one day at a time, and you should enjoy it and take things slowly, set yourself realistic goals, and that's how you become that better version of yourself. So yeah.
you think that having to stop school and start a business has taught you lessons that has made you who you are today? Because I believe
Totally.
that when we go through trials in life, we become better people than we were before the trial. Do you think that what you
Exactly.
experience has shaped you in any way that you think you are much better now than you were 2 years back or before the financial crisis? Will you say that?
Absolutely, to be honest. I mean, so before, me sort of even starting this, I was that person who was like all about, just, being in that comfort zone, doing things that all the other people are doing and things like that. And I was also, thinking about, finish the schooling, maybe get into a good college, and then hopefully, get into a good job. I was that person. But when I decided to take up on entrepreneurship, doing something that 99% people choose not to,
You do.
I came across a lot of people. I learned about the reality of life. I learned about the reality of people. I understood who to trust and who not to. There was a phase in my life in 2019 where I was scammed. Me and my sister was scammed by a person who left legal charges on us without us even knowing it, and that left us in a very horrible situation. And it was a situation of life and death for us. And it was pretty hard. It was like, I think the lowest and the darkest phase, it was March 2019. I think all the good and bad happened in the month of March for me, I believe. But yeah, it was, I think, the darkest phase of my life. So yes, that's what life taught me. And I think that if I were, still continuing, my schooling, I would have never learned what I have learned today. And it's not about just the education, it's not about the financial growth, but how I have grown myself mentally, from a boy to a man who understand life and see it from a complete different perspective of how one might not see. I mean, the group, my friends group, they do not see the world as I see it come from a complete different perspective. They has their own complete perception of still a child, of still just being a boy. So I am happy that I took upon this decision, and yeah, I am a complete different person. I'm sure I would have never been like this if I were just continuing my schooling. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. I like the positive vibe you have. I'm
Yeah.
so impressed. I am so impressed.
Appreciate
What
it.
would your final words be to our listeners, if you have any?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like the only thing I can say is that, I have heard people talking about hustling, grinding, working 18 hours a day, just buying Lamborghinis and stuff like that. That's what, like, I have seen people talking about. But to me, I think the way you can be successful is by having more time for the ones that matters you the most. That is your family, be your kids, be your wife, be your siblings, be your parents. And that's what I'm trying to do. I have a 18 months goal set for myself, where we want to make sure that we are in a financial situation where we could go travel the world, me and my family. That's what we have set ourselves for, and that's what we are working for. So I think at the end of the day, it's not about buying expensive things. That's what I've seen people trying to. It's not about that, but it's about the quality of the time that you can spend with your family, with your loved ones. And when you are in your deathbed, I think that's what going to matter for you. It's not going to matter how much money you earned in your whatever 20s, 30s, 40s, or the stuff that you bought and things. The things that going to matter for you is how many people or how many life you were able to touch, and how many memories that you have with your family. So someone listening to this, I would say, I'm not going to say that do not hustle and just sit with your family, no, but hustle healthy. Take care of your health. I mean, COVID, I think the one thing that COVID taught us is that your health eventually is your wealth and not wealth. So take care of your physical health, take care of your mental health. Again, a lot of people mentally were affected. I know, committed suicide because they couldn't cope up with this thing, which is pretty hard. So take care of your mental health, do meditate, and then hustle healthy, work for a certain amount of hours, and then just take your time off and be with your family. Take one day at a time. Do not set unrealistic goals. Set small goals and then achieve them, and I'm sure that will make them happy and make you a better person all by yourself. And then that's how you should be taking it. And competition will always drag you down and will not help you in any way. So I think I've seen a lot of people just competing unnecessarily, which to me doesn't make any sense. So the best person that you can compete with, as I said, is you. And you should always think about how you can defeat yourself, and that's how you technically win in your life. So just take one day at a time. I believe in carpe diem, taking one day at a time and just enjoying it in the best way. And then I'm sure that all the sacrifices and struggle you make, one day life has to unfold something beautiful for you. So yeah, that's the message that I would like to
I'm
share.
tempted to ask you, Mohit, how old are you? Don't give us the exact age. You can just give us a
I'm
range.
21. I'm about to turn 22 in November.
Wow. I think you are wise. So when everything happened, you were around 18 years, were you?
I was 18, yeah, when everything happened.
There's something that experience teaches us that you can't buy with money.
Yeah,
You just have to experience it yourself
that's it. That's it.
to
So
be
true.
better. So I've always said that for me, experience is golden. And anytime we are going through things in life, just see it as a learning stage and just see it as
Exactly.
a preparation stage. And let's put an example. Let me give you an example. An example is gold. Now, when you get gold, gold doesn't come all shiny and glossy and beautiful like we see it. It comes muddy because
Exactly.
it comes from the earth. It comes
Exactly.
down. You have to wash it, wash it, wash. So it goes through a lot of processes. And
Exactly.
sometimes if you have to do anything beautiful with it, it has to go through hot fire. So sometimes we
Exactly.
go through hot fire, we go through cold waters, we go through different things. But in the end, we see a beautiful product of gold. And I'm so
Right.
impressed. I'm listening to you. It's as if I'm listening to an older person. You get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a grown person with wisdom. It's just because of the things you've been through. So in simple terms, all I'm saying is that we should just cherish our experiences. We shouldn't wish them
Exactly.
away. When they are
Exactly.
here, we should just gather strength and go through. It may be tough. I know some of the situations, some of the stories, when you hear them, you can see that, wow, this one has really come to hit me, you know. But we should just gather ourselves together, put ourselves together, go through the tough times. And then when we come out of it, sometimes when you sit down and then you try to reflect on some of the things you've gone through, you're just asking yourself, how was I able to go through? Where did the strength come from? What was I?
Yeah.
You get it. And you marvel because you don't even know how you went through, but you went through and you went through successfully. And when you look at yourself, your achievements after everything, you're so proud of yourself. So I'll say that we shouldn't let some of these experiences let us down. We shouldn't let it send us into depression. We should just always put, that's the essence of podcast, really. For people to share their stories. So somebody is listening and will know that if Mohit went through it, I can go through it. You get it? If he was able to do it, why can't I? What did he do? So you learn from the little things that people did. Then you also, try and build yourself up. And then I'm excited we had this podcast because there are a lot of positive vibes there. And looking at your age and your achievements and the things that you had to go through to force you to achieve these things, I'm sure your parents will be so proud of you and your sister.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I don't know any parent who will not be proud of their children, like both of you, for the things you are doing, for yourselves and for your family, and the way you talk about your family, and the way you said you have to love your family and all of that. You didn't give us any advice anywhere else than your immediate family, the love for your immediate family, because they are your immediate support system. So you have to be there for them, at all times. And I think you've left us with massive, massive, great positive messages. And
thank you so much.
It'll take us a long way. So where can our listeners connect with you?
Yeah, so listeners can connect with me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/imksmohit. And if, they can reach out to my website, oneheart.co.in. And if you want to connect with me personally, you can email me at heyhay@oneheart.co.in. So these are the 3 ways you can reach out.
Wow, great. I think I'll post it somewhere around this video so you can actually follow up with me on that. Yeah. Mohit, I would like to say a very big thank you for coming on podcast with Sheila today. It was a delight having you on this show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is season 2, episode 17 of our podcast series, where we've been bringing your way seasoned guests with inspiring real life stories to share with us. Do not miss out on all these lovely experiences. Subscribe and be notified when a new episode is released. We have a video presentation of this episode on our YouTube channel. Just search for Podcast with Sheila on YouTube and you'll find us. Until we meet again in a fortnight, have a brilliant week.